It happened in the most unexpected place. Not on stage, not backstage, but 35,000 feet in the air, somewhere between Los Angeles and Paris. Kendrick Lamar, known for being reserved, silent, and deeply introspective, was seated in first class, noise-canceling headphones on, disconnected, until a trembling voice broke through the silence. A passenger, young, nervous, emotional, walked down the aisle, clutching something in their hand. Not a selfie request, not a phone camera, a folded piece of paper. It wasn't a fan letter. It wasn't a lyric. It was a poem. And what happened? Next, Kendrick took it, read it, sat silently, then stood up and said one sentence that left the entire cabin in shock. People started crying. Flight attendants stopped mid-service. The pilot even made a special announcement. But why was the poem so powerful? What did Kendrick say that made grown adults tear up mid-flight? And who was this mystery fan with words that pierced the mind? Of a man known for never showing emotion. Stay locked in because the answer will shake everything you think you know about. Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar hadn't spoken publicly in over 2 months. No interviews, no tweets, not even a birthday. Shout out for an artist as meticulous and reflective as Kendrick. Silence isn't random, it's loud, especially after a year filled with industry wars, emotional setbacks, and cryptic verses that had fans questioning where his head really was. Sources close to Kendrick say he'd been pulling away from the world. No appearances, no late-night sessions, no features, even ones that were guaranteed chart-toppers. Some insiders even whispered about a possible retreat. Not just from the industry, but from fame itself. He's tired of pretending, of being who they want, one source revealed. He's been carrying trauma, pressure, and silence for too long. And while fans kept demanding a new album, what they didn't know, Kendrick was battling something deeper than writer's block. The last public glimpse of him was a blurry photo snapped outside a South Central church, wearing all black. Face down, hoodie pulled tight. No entourage, just him, alone. But there were signs in his last live show. Kendrick ended with a line that wasn't part of any known song. The loudest pain is the one you smile through. Many thought it was just poetic, but those who really knew him felt it. That brings us to Flight 711, a luxury transatlantic flight. Private suite cabin. Nothing out of the ordinary. Kendrick boarded quietly. Dressed in a gray sweatsuit, his signature gold bracelet barely visible beneath his sleeve. No flashy jewelry. No PR team. Just a notebook tucked inside his backpack. The same one he's been carrying for years. He wasn't trying to be seen. He wasn't hoping for a moment. He was escaping, according to a passenger seated 3 rows behind him. He barely moved the entire flight. He was just staring out the window, scribbling. He looked like he was somewhere else. And then came her. The mystery fan Dot, described as soft-spoken, maybe early 20s, wearing a faded Kendrick Tour hoodie. She had boarded with her family but spent most of the flight quietly journaling. Flight attendants noticed her glancing over at Kendrick, but never approaching Dot until turbulence struck. The plane hit a patch of hard air over the Atlantic. Lights flickered, drinks spilled. People gasped. And in that moment, with fear slicing through the cabin, the young fan stood up, holding something tight in her hands. A folded, creased, handwritten poem. She didn't look like a fan chasing clout, said one eyewitness. She looked like someone who had to say something before it was too late. What was in the poem? Who was she? And why did it break the silence Kendrick had been holding on to for months? Witnesses say she walked up, tears in her eyes, and gently held the paper out to him. "This is for you," she whispered. "I think you need it." Kendrick hesitated, looked around, took it, unfolded it, read it. Then he froze. For nearly a full minute, Kendrick didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at the page. Then he stood up, and what he said next, with his voice shaking and eyes glassy, made grown adults on that plane cry on the spot. But what did he say? Why did it shake the entire cabin? Why did a veteran flight attendant call it the most emotional moment I've ever seen in the sky? And why has Kendrick still not posted anything about it? The answers are coming, but let's just say, that poem didn't just touch Kendrick, it changed him. The air inside Flight 711 wasn't moving. Not the fans, not the drinks, not even the flight attendants, because in that moment, every single person was watching Kendrick Lamar read a poem and break. It was like time stopped, said one witness seated directly across the aisle. He wasn't reading it, he was feeling every single word. The cabin lights were dim. The only glow came from the reading light above Kendrick's head. But what stood out most wasn't his reaction. It was the tears welling in his eyes as he mouthed the words to himself, and then he stood. No security, no publicist to pull him back. Just Kendrick, raw, shaking, human. He turned to the fan, still standing nervously with her hands clenched to her chest, and asked a question that chilled everyone. Did you write this, or did God? The plane was silent, and then he did something he's never done. Not at an awards show, not at a concert, not even during his most vulnerable interviews. He read the poem aloud, to everyone, the poem as leaked later by a passenger. They called you silent, but you were screaming through beats, through bars, through every verse bleeding. Your truth cracked open in quiet tones, but no one noticed. You carried it alone. I wrote this for the pain you never tweet, asterisk for the wounds that tour buses never treat. You gave us God, gave us fear, gave us truth. But who gives Kendrick back his youth? So if you're reading this at 35,000 feet, asterisk know that your silence still moves our feet. We see you. We need you. Don't go ghost. You're not just a rapper. You're the hope we quote. And when he finished, he cried. Like really cried. No cameras, no filters. Just emotion. Witnesses say he whispered thank you over and over, then collapsed back into his seat, covering his face with both hands. The entire cabin stayed silent until a single applause broke out from the back. Then another, and suddenly everyone on that plane was clapping. Some were crying. One person was openly sobbing. The flight attendants, one of whom had worked private jets for A-list celebrities for over a decade, said, "I've seen rock stars drunk. I've seen actors fight. I've never seen an artist melt like that." Over a poem that wasn't entertainment, that was release. But the biggest twist, the girl who gave him the poem, wasn't who anyone thought she was. Social media went crazy trying to identify her. Some claimed she was a die-hard fan. Others speculated she was an aspiring artist. But according to multiple insiders, including one who spoke anonymously to the Hip Hop Digest, she's something more complicated. She wasn't some random fan. She used to know Kendrick years ago, back when he was barely a name, a high school connection, a church group. Theories exploded online. Some suggested she was a childhood friend who had gone unnoticed all these years. Others whispered she might have been his first heartbreak, or even the girl he once referenced in a lost verse from his Section 80 era. Whatever the truth is, this much was clear. Kendrick recognized her not just as a fan, as someone who once mattered. One fan who filmed part of the scene caught audio of Kendrick saying softly, "You waited all this time, ... just to say that." Which begs the question, was this poem planned? Was this a spontaneous moment of courage? Or was it a long overdue message that Kendrick needed but never expected to receive at 35,000 feet above the earth? But that wasn't even the biggest twist. Because as Kendrick returned to his seat, visibly shaken, he asked one of the flight attendants for a pen and wrote something back. On the same piece of paper, he folded it, handed it to the fan, and said, "Don't. Read it now. Read it when you land." She nodded, sat down, and said nothing else for the rest of the flight. But here's the thing, ... Someone in first class, possibly a journalist, snapped a blurred photo of Talski. I've Kendrick writing the note, and by the time the flight landed, the pic was all over the internet. #Kendrick poem response began trending worldwide, and fans were dying to know, what did he write? What could possibly top that poem, and will she ever share it? To this day, she hasn't. But the real question is, if that note held Kendrick's next verse? What if this entire moment sparked his next album? What if this poem saved him from quitting? By the time Kendrick's plane touched down in Paris, the internet was already on fire. The blurry image of him writing something on that folded poem was everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, even mainstream news outlets like Complex and Pitchfork were scrambling for answers. Kendrick's mysterious poem response. Fan makes Kendrick cry mid-flight. Is this the beginning of Kendrick's last album? The hashtags blew up. #KDOT at 35K hashtag. The poem that broke Kendrick #Reddit. When you land, every fanbase had a theory. Every creator had a hot take. And every blog wanted to be the one to figure out who was the girl. What did the poem say? What did Kendrick write back? But then, the theories got darker. A screenshot began circulating allegedly from Kendrick's private Finsta account, showing a captioned photo of clouds from a plane window. Posted just hours before takeoff. Last flight before silence. If this is the end, I'm proud of what I left. Fans went into panic mode. Was Kendrick retiring? Was this going to be his final trip before disappearing for good? Especially after another account supposedly run by someone in Kendrick's creative team dropped a now-deleted tweet that read, "He wasn't flying to perform. He was flying to heal." That was supposed to be the goodbye trip. And suddenly, the moment that once looked like a beautiful encounter started to feel like something much, much heavier. The whispers got louder. Was Kendrick preparing to walk away from everything? Fame, music, fans. And if that fan hadn't handed him the poem, would he have ever come back? Then came the first fake leak. A supposed copy of Kendrick's handwritten note began circulating in group chats, claiming to be the response he gave to the girl. It read, "You saw me. When the world blurred me out, you listened. When I stopped speaking, this poem saved a voice that was fading. Thank you for keeping me alive." Emotional, powerful. But fake handwriting experts, fans, and even old classmates of Kendrick quickly pointed out discrepancies. The K wasn't his. The language didn't match his usual tone. Even the paper shown in the photo didn't match the one captured in the actual flight pic. But it didn't matter, because the damage was done. Now every fan wanted the real letter. #release. The response began trending. Memes popped up like wildfire. Some accused the fan of hoarding history. Others praised her for protecting the moment. TikTok creators began uploading reenactments of the scene. Twitter threads broke down every line of the original poem. Instagram fan pages even tracked the girl's possible seat number on the flight. Row 2F. Some even claimed she wasn't a fan at all, but a plant. Part of a marketing stunt for Kendrick's next album. No way that was random. One user tweeted, "This was too cinematic, too perfect. It's rollout energy." But then came the twist that no one was ready for. An insider leak claimed Kendrick was in talks with his team to step away from music permanently, according to a blog. Posts that surfaced on a private Discord server for music journalists. Kendrick had allegedly turned down a major festival headliner slot worth $5 and paused all recording sessions indefinitely and ghosted 3 high-profile producers who were waiting on final verses. The source also claimed the Paris flight was part of a spiritual reset, a personal trip Kendrick had planned alone, without any security, to disconnect and decide if he still belonged in the world of fame. He wasn't just tired, he was broken. But now he had that poem. Now he had that moment. And according to that same insider, Kendrick landed with different eyes. He didn't speak for hours. But when he did, the first thing he said was, "Maybe I'm not done yet." Then, as if fate was leaning in, an unreleased Kendrick verse leaked online the next day. The lyrics, "Told myself I'd leave in peace, but peace don't come when you bleed in ink. Took a flight to breathe again, then a stranger handed me my own pen back. Fans lost it. Was that a new song? A freestyle? Was Kendrick already writing again? Was that poem the spark he needed to remember his why?" The verse was later confirmed as real by a producer affiliated with Kendrick's label, but not tied to any upcoming project yet. So now the question isn't just, what did Kendrick write back? Something deeper, something bigger. Did that fan save Kendrick Lamar's career? This is the most human we've ever seen Kendrick Lamar. That was the headline plastered across Rolling Stone. Just 24 hours after the story broke, and they weren't lying. The moment that was meant to be private, a poem handed quietly to a legend mid-flight, had become the most dissected, debated, and divisive moment in modern hip-hop. Every corner of the internet had something to say. Celebrity reactions. SZA said posted an IG story with a black screen and the words, "It only takes one word to reroute a soul." That's the power of poetry. Fans took that as a full endorsement of Kendrick's emotional moment, and some even suggested SZA knew about the breakdown ahead of time. J. Cole, notoriously quiet, shocked everyone when he tweeted, "If you ever needed proof that Kendrick ain't just a rapper, I'll just got it 35,000 feet above sea level." Over 400K retweets. The verse was reposted on lyric pages like Genius within the hour. But not everyone was sympathetic. Charlemagne the God, on The Breakfast Club, said bluntly, "I'm not saying it wasn't real. But you're telling me no one caught the audio clearly. No angles. This man cries for the first time in public, and it's a perfectly blurry mystery." He wasn't the only skeptic. Azealia Banks went on a Twitter rant accusing Kendrick of weaponizing emotion and called the poem corny performance art. "Ain't no way I'm crying on Delta over a haiku from a stranger. Grow up." Her post got 1.3 million views, but fans clapped back. Hard fanbase, div Detha. Internet was on fire. TikTokers reenacted the flight moment with dramatic soundtracks and fake tears. Twitter ran with conspiracies that the girl was an industry plant. Reddit threads hit 5,000 plus comments in one night trying to decode the real meaning behind Kendrick's quote, "Did you write this? Or did God?" One viral theory: that the poem was written by someone from Kendrick's past, a ghostwriter, a former muse, or even a relative who remained anonymous for years. Others swore the moment was a sign that Kendrick was entering a new spiritual phase, comparing it to 3 Stacks playing flute in the woods, or the disappearing into Wyoming. But the biggest shock came from the Kendrick community itself. K. Subreddit split in two. One side calling the event sacred and begging people to stop demanding the fan reveal the response. The other saying she owes it to the culture to drop the letter Kendrick wrote back. One user said, "You don't keep a once-in-a-lifetime Kendrick moment to yourself." Industry BU's CZ Music execs began scrambling to understand the impact of the moment. According to leaked emails allegedly from a major label, a team of A&Rs were instructed to monitor poetic influencers on TikTok and Twitter for potential signings. The poem had changed the conversation. Suddenly, emotion was back in style. Recordings of fans reading their own poems for Kendrick started popping up across platforms. With the hashtag poems for KDOT, but behind the scenes. Labels were panicking. Insiders say Kendrick's label wasn't aware. He was flying solo to Paris. Some believe the poem moment disrupted a confidential press plan set to roll out later this year. This was supposed to be a quiet Kendrick season, said one source. Now we have an emotional wildfire on our hands, and we don't control the narrative. But was IT a stunt? The word staged began creeping into corners of the conversation. A former PR manager posted anonymously to a marketing blog. I've helped artists pull off fake, spontaneous moments before. This could be real. Or it could be genius rollout strategy, and you'll never know. That post ignited a wave of doubt. Was the girl really a fan? Why hasn't she spoken? Why was there only one photo? And why is Kendrick still silent? But in the midst of all this chaos, one tweet cut through the noise. Whether it was real or fake, the moment moved people. That's what art is supposed to do, and that is the power of mystery. The poem cracked Kendrick open. The moment cracked the internet in half. And the world still doesn't have answers. But answers are coming. 3 days after the flight that shattered Kendrick's silence, he vanished. No updates, no interviews, no press. Not even a blurry paparazzi photo. The man who just revealed his soul midair. The man who cried while reading a stranger's poem at 35,000 feet was nowhere to be found. That is, until 3:03 a.m., when a private IG story posted from a verified burner account tied to Kendrick's old TDE circle lit up like a flare in the dark. Just 6 words. White text, black background. No tags, no geotag. No sound. I left the door unlocked. Goodbye. And just like that, the speculation became obsession. Was this Kendrick's cryptic farewell? Was he announcing the end of his career? In 6 words, the post was deleted in under 10 minutes. But screenshots spread like wildfire. Multiple hip-hop insiders confirmed it came from an account Kendrick's team used privately in the past, often to test lyrics, teasers, and artwork, and then came the real twist, a leak. But not just any leak. A voice note posted anonymously on SoundCloud. A 49-second audio file titled Poem Response, Flight 711, The Voice. Unmistakably Kendrick's. Cracked, quiet, reflective. That poem didn't just find me. It reminded me why I started and why I was ready to stop. You asked who gives Kendrick back his youth. Nobody. But you gave me my breath back. So thank you for not letting me fade quietly. Click, silence, end, no beat, no chorus, no verse, just vulnerability, just truth. Just Kendrick. Fans went insane. Some called it the realest thing he's ever recorded. Others wondered if it was the intro to his last album. Then, hip-hop sleuths uncovered something buried deep on Kendrick's official website. A hidden landing page titled, The Final Chapter, Unreleased Works. It was locked. Its password, protected. But it included a small line at the bottom. Read it when you land. The same phrase Kendrick said to the fan when he handed her that letter. So now fans are screaming. Is a secret project dropping? Is Kendrick quitting? Was the fan a messenger? Was this his final goodbye disguised as a poem in the clouds? Forums are going wild. Kendrick just left the industry on a poem. This is performance art, and we are the audience. He's not leaving, he's evolving. We watched a goodbye and didn't even realize it. But here's what no one saw coming. A photo surfaced today, allegedly snapped in the south of France. Man in a hoodie, sitting near the edge of a cliff, journal open, his wrist. Bare, except for a single gold bracelet. Zoom in. It's Kendrick, alone, smiling, the caption on the leaked post. Sometimes you have to leave to remember who you are. And just like that, the world is left with a question that may never get answered. Did a single poem from a stranger save Kendrick Lamar, or help him say goodbye? Because whatever's coming next isn't a song, isn't a tour. It's a message. And we're all still waiting to read it. So now we ask, was this really just a poem? Or was it a lifeline? Did that fan simply write words? Or did she rewrite Kendrick Lamar's ending? From the silence in first class to the standing ovation at 35,000 feet to the cryptic farewell that shook the world, we've